Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of This Is Our Life. Okay, so I made a video about Okinawa memories, and there are other videos here on my channel about Okinawa, and I figured I'd tell you some more stories about Okinawa. Yes, I did not like living on Okinawa. I loved living on Okinawa. I would love to be able to take my wife and show her. Well, you know, a lot of those things aren't around anymore. But
I want to go see Bangkok, Thailand.
And then we'll go to Bangkok, Thailand too. But let's see. I have Lucky in my lap. Gave him a bath tonight. So let's see. There was this department store in Naha. And before I get to the department store, because the person, which, if you want to friend me, I'd appreciate it. But on Facebook. But that amusement park, from what I recall, understand this is a long time ago. We left in 1972. So that wasn't yesterday by any means. My gosh, I can't even remember the names of some of the people I knew in high school. How am I going to remember the names of people that, you know, twice as long ago or whatever? Anyway, it was, that amusement park, from what I recall, it was very narrow. I could be completely wrong about that, but it was narrow. Everything was like in this very long rectangle, and then I think there was like up a hill or a cliff that, like, what do they call the ride where you go through the spooky tunnel? You know, I think it went up that, or maybe that was supposed to be a roller coaster. I don't remember. Okay, so anyway, so let's get to Naha. Naha, there was a department store. Yes, there were several department stores. And I remember once my dad went and bought my mom a bunch of red roses. And I thought, well, why does she want red roses? Why are you getting her red roses? What's the whole thing about red roses? I could pick those for her, Daddy. Well, my mother was... Anyway. So, this department store, on the top, there was a Ferris wheel, I think? And they had an aardvark up there in a cage, an anteater. And they had, like, each floor was a completely different department. In one department, I remember magic. You know, they would have, like, people in there demonstrating things. And they had this guy with 2 metal rings, and he would put them together, and then he was able to take them apart, and I could never do that. I
remember when Sears department stores actually had a toy department.
Yeah. Not
just toy shelves, a toy department.
Yeah. And, anyway...
and they actually had a candy bar where they sold, candy in bulk and hot roasted nuts, and I remember when Kmart used to have a little place where you could buy a little bar thing where you could buy hot roasted nuts and sesame sticks and Subway sandwiches even.
Oh.
They call them subs.
Yeah. Also in Naha, they used to have, like, glass fish tanks, and they would have electric eels in them. You could buy them. Yeah.
But you never got one, did you?
No, my parents never let me have one of those.
Why not?
I
hurt you.
I have a feeling people were eating them, though. I think they were food. I don't think I mentioned in the last video, but I have mentioned in another video, my nursery school, Mashinada Nursery School, the ladies, mama-sons, I mean, my father was such that we had to address everybody with respect. So it wasn't, hey, you lady. That wouldn't have gone at all. It was Mama-san and Papa-san. But
or ma'am.
No.
Or ma'am.
Mama-san and Papa-san.
Well, I mean,
to American.
Ma'am to American.
Yeah. The ladies from, I guess it was Machinado Village, which I think now they refer Machinado. They would go down by the nursery school and they'd be hunting sea urchins and food. Let's see. At Okuma Beach, back then Okuma Beach was an officer's retreat. Now my understanding is it's for anyone and everyone, and they even have a runway there. Don't ask me how you can put a runway in at Okuma Beach. It's not that big.
Very carefully.
Yeah. And they had a koi pond. And I used to go there and sit and talk to the koi. And people would come over this little wooden bridge, and I'd be like, they're going to think something's wrong, I'm talking to fish.
You were a kid.
Yeah. And they had
like 5 years old, maybe.
Yeah, and they had like bicycles built for two, and I used to like those. At Okuma Beach, when you go to the end of the peninsula, on the south side of the end of the peninsula, there was this hill, and underneath it was a cave, and people would like go scuba diving under there and stuff. Well, see, I thought Captain Hook from Peter Pan lived under that mountain, under that hill, in that cave. So I was scared to death to go over there. There was a little creek that separated it from the rest of the peninsula, and I would like jump real fast over there and jump back because I was like, I don't want Captain Hook to get me.
Oh, you thought Captain Hook lived there?
Yeah. I loved going to the old DC-3 that was, well, it would have, I don't remember what the military designation for a DC-3 is, but it was all shot up somewhere. Well, any pictures I would have had of it are lost in the fire. But no, you see the shishi dogs? Can you see them up there, right in front of my dad's flag?
I never knew how shishi dogs worked until you told me about one keeps the good spirits in and the other keeps the bad spirits out. And my brother was over in Thailand, and when he came back from there, he had probably 8 or 9 very large books full of 35mm photographs of the temples and stuff, and he knew about the shishi dogs, but he didn't know that about the shishi dogs.
Well, I remember one field trip we took was to a temple, and there's a torii gate, and they had big shishi dogs. They were like bigger than I was tall. I mean, they were taller than I was tall.
Just gigantic.
Yeah, and once,
what, like 10 feet tall?
Well,
Were they taller than a man?
No. Well, maybe
about
so.
6 foot, maybe.
Yeah.
Those are large.
Once on a school field trip, we got to go on a landing craft, an old World War II landing craft. Those are not the most pleasant rides because they're flat-bottomed and you do a lot of this.
What do you mean? They wiggle?
Yeah, they do this because they're not stable. Yeah. I remember at one of the beaches, I don't remember White Beach or what beach it was.
I remember the boat that my dad had, he used for fishing. It was pointed at the front, kind of like this, like at the front, and it widened out and went kind of flat at the back, where the motor was at. It was a Red Cross rescue boat, because it even actually had a Red Cross symbol, emblem on it.
I'm watching our kittens, our babies over here. Come here, John.
Our little monsters.
Come here, John.
They know what their claws are for. They don't quite know how to use them yet. They know how to hang on and not let go, though.
Anyway, we had a dachshund named Lassie on Okinawa. Actually, once we had a German Shepherd. The German Shepherd took down the Christmas tree. My dad got rid of the German Shepherd. The German Shepherd's name was Lassie. They only got dachshunds after that. If they were boys, they were Laddie. If they were girls, they were Lassie. One got hit by a car or by our neighbor when we lived on Cleveland Court. Oh, our dinner's ready. You had dinner at 1:30 in the morning.
Well,
there was an old fishing boat that had gone up on the reef, and I was down there with my dad at the beach, and I was saying, "Look, Daddy, a pirate ship." And he said, "No, that's just a fishing boat, son." I'm like, "No, it's a pirate ship." I really thought it was a pirate ship. Oh gosh. My mother was a school nurse for a while, and one kid got his finger bit off by a snapping turtle. I remember we used to go get pollywogs down at the creek that was between our house and the school. That was not on Cleveland Court. That was before we lived in Cleveland Court. My first girlfriend, Cindy Duncan, whose father I've mentioned already. Cindy and I used to go sit in the sewers and eat paste. Not the sewer, but because it rains so much, you know, and it's an island. You have to make way for drainage. So we'd sit there and we'd eat paste. Cindy's neighbor, we lived in duplexes at the time. One of our neighbors, when we lived in the duplex, our neighbor was a priest. He lived with his mother. And Mr. Stanford was our chaplain. But Mr. Stanford was Baptist, Southern Baptist, so he wouldn't baptize my sister. So the priest baptized my sister.
Why wouldn't they baptize her?
The Baptists don't believe in baptizing infants. You have to be of age to make the decision. Cindy, who lived across the street from us, also in a duplex, the person that lived in the adjoining duplex, I believe his dad was MIA or POW. His mother was just a wreck. I mean, I remember she would put her cigarette in her mouth the wrong way and light it, and she was always nervous, and we didn't treat that kid too well, which is really sad. But you know, I wish I would have understood. I wish we would have treated you better. Anyway, that's not a whole lot, but that's something. Bye.